Hey everyone, welcome to Post to Post. My name is Neil. We're going to talk a little bit about the draft that happened at the end of last week and also some trades that happened around the same time up until today. I'm filming this at 4:41 p.m. today, so you'll see this pretty soon. And I wanted to kind of make this video a little bit delayed for I guess one real reason. I was hoping that there would be more trades to talk about up until the beginning of this week. I thought for sure there'd be a couple, or a handful at least, before the draft, yada yada yada. But then like that trickle effect that happens after the draft is over, usually we get a couple in the bank, and we really only got one. So I'm a little bit disappointed. I could have made this video probably Saturday, honestly. But either way, we're here to talk about it. Now I will say, huge disclaimer, take my opinion on draft picks with less than a grain of salt. I am not the person to come to for an educated opinion on draft picks, players in development. I literally don't have time to follow anything below the NHL, whether it's AHL, players about to be drafted, any of that stuff. There are way better resources on YouTube than myself. I'm just here to give you my general impression of how the draft went. So as a Canadiens fan, having the draft in Montreal, with Montreal having the first pick, it's a pretty big year for me. I know I'm wearing Arizona right now, but if you're new to the channel, I do collect jerseys and wear a different jersey or a different hat and jersey every single video out of respect for you guys, the majority of the fans out there, because I talk about all teams on this channel, not just the Montreal Canadiens. But it was an exciting one for me because my team finally got to pick first, for the first time since 1981 or whatever it was. And, it's a big deal. And I wanted to see who they were going to get. Shane Wright was the big name. Where they're going to take them? Chances are, obviously they're going to take him. I was surprised because they didn't. Now, I did hear just before the draft started that there was a chance that Montreal was not going to take him. So I wasn't like 100% surprised. I was like 92% surprised. But they did draft Slafkovsky. And man, I'm like so excited to see this kid play. I think he's exactly what Montreal needs. I'm not disappointed that they didn't take Shane Wright at all. I love the size. I love, he's size-wise, he's NHL ready. He's tall and he's a bit muscular. He's not like super, super skinny. I'm thinking that maybe he could jump right in the next couple of years. I don't think he's going to need a ton of development like maybe some of the other players in the draft. So I'm kind of excited for that, as far as a Canadiens fan. But then we have the other teams. And the second pick, which was Nemec by New Jersey, I did hear before the draft that even if Montreal did not take Shane Wright, that they were also not going to take Shane Wright. So their pick of Nemec did not surprise me at all, actually. Now, the third one is probably the one that surprised me more than the Montreal Canadiens not choosing Shane Wright. I thought for sure that the Arizona Coyotes were going to take Shane Wright if he was still available, but they didn't. They took Logan Cooley. And that's not a bad pick at all. I mean, I think Cooley is the perfect, person for the Arizona Coyotes. I love his fit there. And then Shane Wright obviously went to the Seattle Kraken after that. But I wanted to note the death stare of Shane Wright towards the Montreal Canadiens table in between pictures there. I'm sure everyone's seen that by now. If you haven't, it's on Twitter and whatnot. But that tells me a lot of things, actually. A couple of weeks ago, I watched an interview with Shane Wright talking about, what if he doesn't go first, and that the rankings changed because I think he dropped from first to second or whatever. He's like, I don't even care about the numbers, whatever. It's not a big deal. It doesn't matter if I go first. I don't really pay attention to that stuff. Well, I mean, he didn't really play your cards that great because the look that you gave the Montreal Canadiens table essentially told them that you were paying attention, you did expect to go first, and that you were very pissed that you didn't. So Shane Wright hates Montreal, basically. Which is fine, but it tells me another thing. He takes it seriously, which is a good thing. He's serious. Did you see how the look on his face? Like that guy means business, and I think that is there's a bit of negativity there because it's it's vengeful and stuff, but it's also a really good thing because he's serious about it. He's obsessed with the game and stuff. He wants to be the best. That's the kind of player you want. So that's going to be great for the Seattle Kraken. That is exactly what that franchise needs. Obviously, new expansion franchise. They need a generational player on the team, and hopefully he is that for the Kraken. But outside of the top four, I couldn't really tell you much about the rest of the people. And like I said, I'm not the best person to give my opinion or educational opinion on any of the draft picks in general. I just don't have time to follow that much stuff. Now, the trades that happened just after that, or I guess during, the first one I wanted to talk about was the Alex DeBrincat trade from Chicago to Ottawa. And as you guys know, maybe you don't know, maybe you're new, but Alex DeBrincat is one of my favorite players in the NHL. Definitely my favorite player on the Chicago Blackhawks. So when he got traded to the Ottawa Senators, I was excited for two reasons. Number one, he's going to be in the Atlantic Division playing my Montreal Canadiens, so I get to see him more on television because Montreal plays Ottawa, I think, 4 to 6 times a year, at least 4, I believe. but they only play Chicago twice. So hey, I get to see one of my favorite players in the NHL more play against my favorite team, which is cool. And the second reason is I think Alex DeBrincat is a really, really good fit on a couple of handful of teams in the NHL, and I think the Ottawa Senators are one of those teams. So I think this was a very good play logistically by the Ottawa Senators to bring him in, because I think he'll fit well with that team, like just incredibly well. You got young players on the Ottawa Senators. He's technically still young, obviously, but he's just going to fit in so well. I think that's just such a great step forward for the Ottawa Senators. I think it's a very underrated move, and it makes me like the Ottawa Senators way more than I did before. So I'm going to be watching way more Ottawa Senators just based on this trade. So thumbs up for me there. From a Chicago perspective, I mean, there's question marks there. I think there were conversations around trading him last season, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe the writing was already on the wall. So you get what you can get, right? The next trade was the Montreal Canadiens trading Alexander Romanov to the Islanders. That one really, really shocked me. I thought, okay, you drafted Sergachev, you kept him for a little bit, and then you traded him. He was supposed to be the next big defenseman on the Montreal Canadiens, and then look what happened. Sergachev now has 2 cups and an additional final under his belt. So then you draft Romanov. Okay, it's the Sergachev replacement, okay? He's going to be the next big defenseman on the Canadiens. He can contribute offensively and defensively. He's a bit of a dynamic player. Pretty good replacement for Sergachev. And then he gets traded. I'm like, didn't you learn from the first, from the first iteration of your mistake there, trading Sergachev for Drouin? I mean, you can argue whether that trade is the win or loss for either of the teams. I'm not here to debate that. But I was just blown away. Okay, what? There's got to be something else that's going on. And then we basically immediately got the news that Montreal traded for Kirby Dach from the Chicago Blackhawks for a first in the 2022 and third in the 2022 year. So I love this move. Not in the sense of getting rid of Romanov. I think there's some developmental issues in general there. I don't think Montreal developed him as best they could. I think they probably dropped the ball, to be honest, on him. Bit of a liability at times. I don't necessarily blame him, though. I mostly blame my Montreal Canadiens. But acquiring Kirby Dach is a brilliant move. I think he totally fits in with the Montreal Canadiens. He had a bit of an, there's some question marks around Kirby Dach. Can he kind of bounce back and whatnot? I believe he can, especially with the new Montreal. And by new Montreal, I mean the new management, the new coach, the new system. Like, I really am positive about this move. And typically, as you guys know, I'm very critical when it comes to all things Montreal Canadiens. So I'm a little slight disappointed that Romanov left, but I'm very excited for Kirby Dach, another great player in the NHL, one that I definitely like. So thumbs up for the Montreal Canadiens, I think, in this past week for me. And then the trade that just happened, so I'm just going to scroll up on my computer here, and I just want to get to the correct page. Yeah, I mean, this one just happened yesterday. The Toronto Maple Leafs and the Ottawa Senators. Matt Murray goes to Toronto in exchange for future considerations, whatever the hell that means. But Matt Murray has had maybe the most question marks of any player in the NHL in the past a little bit. There's been injury issues. There's been consistency issues. And a lot of people are just like ripping Dubas, ripping Leafs fans for this. I don't know if it's that cut and dry. I think Matt Murray was not in a position where he knew that he was going to win with Ottawa. No offense, Ottawa. They're not expected to win. They're a developing team. But I can kind of see Matt Murray coming into the Maple Leafs, seeing the team in front of him, getting a little bit of a confidence boost from that, realizing that there's a bit of a chance there to do something special, and probably playing up to his ability, something that he's not done in a while, actually. So I don't think this is as bad as Leafs fans think, but I do think there's question marks as far as like salary. I believe he's getting paid in the mid 4.5, but I think Campbell wanted 5, and there was someone else who wanted 5, and Dubas wouldn't give it to them. But how you not gonna give 5, but you'll take 4 for Matt Murray, who has so many question marks around him? So I understand that criticism from that perspective, from Leafs fans and non-Leaf fans. But I don't know if it's going to end as poorly as most people think. But I also don't know anything in general. So what do I know, right? I'm just a dude who makes videos on YouTube. But I'm curious to see what happens for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Even though I am a Canadiens fan, I do want to see the Maple Leafs have some success. It's getting kind of old watching them lose in the first round. It's it's entertaining and stuff for the first couple of times. Now it's just kind of boring. Like just get it done. Just move on to the second round. I don't care how you do it. If Matt Murray's the answer to do that, so be it, right? So that's my general thoughts, just some quick thoughts on the draft, on the Montreal Canadiens, on the Toronto Maple Leafs trade. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section of all these things. Did the draft go as you expected? I'm assuming it didn't, because a lot of people were surprised, but I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Hope you guys are having an excellent day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow for a very big, important ranking video. See you then. Adios.